guys, Corey here from Sky's the Limit Car Care, and today we're going to answer the question, is DarkSide good for things other than tires? Topics for today is number one, what is DarkSide and are there uses for it other than just for sealing tires? What's the durability that you can expect from DarkSide, both on tires and on trim? Number three, how does it compare to traditional tire dressings or to something like a CARPRO PERL or Ultimate Trim and Tire Guard? Finally, what's the best way to apply DarkSide and what tools should you use to apply it? All right, number one, what is DarkSide? If you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years, then maybe you didn't notice one of the now most popular products in the CARPRO lineup, CARPRO DarkSide. If you have been staying on top of your CARPRO products, then you're probably already using it because it's one of our biggest sellers. It looks phenomenal on tires. It's made to protect your tires, to make them look better, and to make them stay easier to clean and stay black and not get dirty looking. Now, there are some other alternative uses for DarkSide per CARPRO. That's something that we at Sky's the Limit Car Care have not invested that much time in using it. We have used it a little bit on some window trim, but we haven't done a video on these alternative uses. So we have another video in the link below that'll show you all the uses on, or all the ways to use it on tires, the best way to apply it to tires, and our thoughts on that. But today we're really gonna focus on trim and window seals, stuff like that. So we've got my Tesla Model Y right here, and this is bare, ready to use, or ready to seal textured plastic. We've prepped it. We actually did, we prepped it with eraser on one side and no eraser on the other side, but it is all well cleaned. And then we have a tape line right here so you'll be able to see the difference. And then we're actually gonna go ahead and compare PERL to it as well for you. So how does DarkSide compare to a traditional trim dressing? That's actually what we're gonna show you today, and by the time we publish this video, the subsequent weeks, or probably up to about 4 weeks from now. And so we can show you how much longer it'll last than a traditional dressing, and we're going to compare it side by side with PERL, so you can use that as kind of a marker for it. So as far as application, I'm going to show you that right now. As far as tools for the application, it really comes down to a matter of preference. In most cases with trim products, you could use a foam applicator, you could use a foam applicator, or you could use a microfiber applicator. You could use the CARPRO Pocket Foam microfiber applicator. You could use the Microfiber Madness Waxing Moon that's got a nice pocket in it. There's, you could use a brush. If you're using it on the tires, we've got a DarkSide brush that is great for that. It really does come down to preference. Now, for me, my preference on textured trim, and that's because this is going to get up into that texture, and it's going to, the microfiber is going to soak in any excess product so I can put it on evenly real easily. I'm going to go with this. I think that's going to be my best option on trim. This is the first time I've used it on this particular trim, but that's what we're going to do today. So important tip, obviously shake the bottle. We're going to use microfiber towel today, use nitrile gloves. It's always good to keep chemicals off your skin. So that should be plenty for this to get us started. Put that on the applicator and then we'll just spread that around. You don't want to take on too big of an area. You just kind of get a feel for how this is applying, and you can see how far it's spreading. So that looks like about the right amount of area for me to work in like that. And then if I still have some on there, then I can keep going, spread it on over to this area, and work into this final area down in here. And then we'll come back with our foam swab in a minute and get in those tight little areas. So I love the way it applies, really, really nice on textured trim. It couldn't have been easier. I felt like if I had a little bit too much product, it would have been fine. And I think I had the exact right amount for that area because it went on really nice and smooth. I guess I see one little tiny shiny spot there, but a little flick of that, and that's good. And yeah, it's really impressive on trim. Really, really happy with that. Now on this is such a small applicator, you really want a very tiny dot of applicator on there, or of DarkSide on there, and then we'll spread that out, get that in here. And this is probably likely to leave a little bit of a high spot up in there. I could get down in there and lay underneath the car and all that, but I'd rather not. So what I'm gonna do is just get it all in there and then come back with my applicator, and just to make sure I didn't leave any in there, I'll just hit it like this without having to stick my face up under there. With some products, you might really need to get in there to make sure that you didn't leave a high spot of stuff, but this DarkSide goes on textured trim, specifically this textured trim, so nice and easy that I can feel confident that it went in there the way I want it to without having to get my face up under there or put my back in an uncomfortable position. It's the great thing about having the right tools handy is you can save your body a lot of grief, and that's going to add up for you, especially when you get to be my age or older. All right, so I'm going to take a little pause here. I'm not going to go do that other side because we're actually going to put PERL on the other side and compare that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and compare the PERL, that stands for Plastic Engine Rubber Leather. Of course, PERL is a kind of covers all your bases for plastic, engine, rubber, and leather. So in this case, obviously it's trim, that's plastic, and I'm quite familiar with how PERL works on trim. Usually I would cut it, this is straight PERL, usually I would cut it about at least 1:1 and maybe up to 1:3 on trim, but I like it like around 1:1. But to make it a fair side by side, we're going to go ahead and just put it on straight today. One thing I'll say right off the bat is I loved how DarkSide applied. PERL applies real nicely as well, but I would give the edge to DarkSide if you were going to compare the two on trim. As you can see, this wipes on quite easily as well. So not a huge difference as far as application. PERL will take more product if you use it straight like this than DarkSide. DarkSide spreads a little further, but right off the bat, I expect that the PERL will probably look a little bit darker. We'll show you side by side in a minute here. But I think after the course of a week, especially after it rains on the car, and over the course of a month, then the DarkSide is probably going to look darker by then. But we will definitely bear that out and see for ourselves. All right, let's hit the big reveal. We got DarkSide on the right, PERL on the left, and nothing in the middle. Like we discussed, they're probably going to look pretty similar right now. I'm actually surprised. I thought the PERL would look darker up front, but they actually look very, very similar. If anything, the DarkSide might be slightly darker, but I'm just going to give it a tie right now off the bat. And we will be giving you updates soon because I think a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, certainly a month from now, that DarkSide will be holding up better than the PERL will over that time. All right, so final two applications or alternative applications for DarkSide. We're going to do this window trim, and then we're going to talk about rubber floor mats as well, which you won't want to miss. So on window trim, I've been using Ultima Trim and Tire Guard for years to maintain and kind of restore my my trim on my Saturn Sky, and I absolutely love it. So we wanted to see how DarkSide would compare. So we're going to go ahead and show you that application here. Again, we prepped this trim with CARPRO eraser, and now we're just getting a nice even application. If you get any excess, then like we discussed earlier, you can just pop the applicator over and use the dry side, or use your towel that you keep handy. So this is a much smoother material than the textured plastic we just did. Obviously it's going to be a little bit more finicky to apply to, but it wasn't too bad. I've just got to come back and wipe this off of the paint with my eraser towel here in a second, and we'll be all set. So one other thing that I've been using Ultima Trim and Tire Guard for years is cleaning this kind of stuff up on trim when it hasn't been maintained for a while. And so we've got this one section here that has not been maintained, and take a look at let's take a look at how DarkSide cleans that up. It's incredible how quickly it just wipes right off. I'm real curious to see how long it lasts like that. And but so far I'm real impressed with how nicely it cleaned that up. I think after it dries, after it cures, some of that will come back out unless we clean it and scrub it a lot more. But definitely going to give us some improvement. Yeah, I can see it coming back a little bit, so it's definitely not going to fix it. It's going to take more work and repeated applications to really solve the window seals when they've been when they haven't been maintained to the level that this one hasn't. But definitely over time, if you keep doing that, cleaning it really well and then reapplying, in my experience, that will make a huge difference, and you can get that back to a like new state as long as you maintain it. Hey guys, so it's been a couple weeks since we shot the video. We've been following closely the results of the PERL versus DarkSide on the back of my Model Y, and we were really surprised at the results. I think you guys will be as well. Let's go take a look. All right guys, so it's been a couple weeks, actually just over a couple weeks since we applied everything, and you can see right here, here's the tape line. You can see right here, it's still slightly darker. The PERL is slightly darker, and then right here I can see the other edge of the tape line. This is the DarkSide over here. So DarkSide, PERL. We were shocked to see that the PERL has actually stayed darker than the DarkSide. To be fair, they've both faded quite a bit, and also to be fair, I have driven this car through some serious rainstorms here in Florida where, you know, at whatever miles an hour for an hour straight or close to an hour, just a ton of water coming up like this, getting spit up all over this area. So it has seen a lot, but I'm still surprised. I expected that the DarkSide would stay darker than the PERL, but on this particular plastic, that has not been the case. And just to review, as we've discussed in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is always what you'll find. On some plastics, one will work better than the other, but in this case, so far, the PERL has definitely, in appearance, outlasted the DarkSide. So let's go ahead and hit it with some water and see if the water repellency and protection is the same as what we're seeing in the darkness. Now this is just a bottle of water. There's nothing in here but water, and it's just so we can get an eye on it. Honestly, I can't really tell much of a difference. The DarkSide might be repelling water slightly better, but I honestly can't tell much of a difference. I think it's sheeting off a little faster and beating up a little better over here, maybe. Even the tape line is pretty similar to both, so I can't tell a big difference. If this was my car, and it is, I would put some more protection on it at this point. I'm really curious to maybe do a side-by-side with Ultima trim and tire guard and the PERL, and see if the Ultima lasts a lot longer. Guys, we got one more test to report back on. We're not shooting it today, but the team put together a test on floor mats. We get questions from you guys all the time on whether or not you can use DarkSide on floor mats. So we tested DarkSide side by side with a variety of other products, Gummy from Koch, Ultima Interior Guard Plus, Ultima Trim Tire Guard, a bunch of different things. And so our report back on that is we don't recommend the DarkSide on floor mats, and that's because there's a little more slippery than some of the other products. For floor mats, my recommendation would be Ultima Interior Shampoo Gel. I've used it for years. For anybody that has used it on floor mats, they know that's like a pro tip. Fantastic product for floor mats, makes them look super nice, and it's not slippery. The one that the team tested that they said came out on top was the Ultima Interior Guard Plus. They loved that, no slickness. Now, DarkSide was not necessarily that slippery on floor mats, but it's just a little bit slippery. It's more slippery than the others. And on something where safety is involved, that's not something that you want to mess around with. So we will not recommend that. If you wanted to play around with it yourself, maybe do it in the in the trunk of your car, in like the weather mat back there or something like that. But that's pretty much it as far as that goes. All right, guys. So closing thoughts. If you haven't seen DarkSide, our DarkSide video on tires, that link is below. Feel free to check that out. We show exactly how to prep your tire right and how this looks on tires. We also have a button right here. If you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. That helps us make more great content for you guys. If you love DarkSide and want to purchase it, please do so from our shop. That also helps us continue to make great content and be able to give you guys the kind of service that you want. And that's Sky's the Limit Car Care, CARPRO-US.com. Our whole team is always here for you. If you have any questions or comments, things we haven't gone over today, leave those comments below. We'll get back to you usually within 24 hours. And as always, you can call us by phone. We will answer. And if you email us, we'll get back to you right away there as well. Orders ship out same day as long as they come in by 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we're here for you guys. Thank you so much. See you later.